G'day, guys. Welcome back to Steeler Nation Australia. So it seems the Pittsburgh Steelers have added another player to the roster, and they've also possibly lost another player from the roster. Who is it? G'day, guys. Welcome back to Steeler Nation Australia. I know a bit of a cliffhanger there, tiny bit of a cliffhanger. The Pittsburgh Steelers have added another player, and that player is Matthew Wright, the kicker. Now, this came from Pittsburgh Steelers on their Twitter. We have signed Matthew Wright to the 53-man roster from the KC practice squad via the Pittsburgh Steelers site. And you're probably thinking straight away, hang on a minute, Matthew Wright, we got Chris Boswell, but Chris Boswell right now is going through a groin injury, but we don't know how severe that groin injury is. So with this signing, they kicked off Nick Skiba. He said, see you later, mate. Nick Skiba was kicked off the team, I think, yesterday in transactions. They've now added Matthew Wright, who was a former kicker for the Steelers as well. And they've added him back to the roster. However, there is a few things to note with this. And I'll tell you what, I didn't know this either. But I went on to behindthesteeler.com, behindthesteelcurtain.com, and I found this article by my good mate Dave, right? And I will link this in the description below, okay? But I found this out. In order for the Steelers to bring in Matthew Wright back to the team, this is what Dave says. He had to be placed on the 53-man roster since he was poached off another team's practice squad, 100%. Additionally, Wright must remain on the Steelers roster for at least 3 weeks. With this time frame in mind, it is possible the Steelers could choose to place Chris Boswell on a reserved injured list where he could miss 4 games rather than have 2 kickers on the roster for the next 3 games. That's a big addition right there. So by getting Wright from the practice squad from the KC Chiefs, he has to be on the roster, right? For that longer time. So therefore, the Steelers might choose in the short term to add Chris Boswell to IR, because why would you have 2 kickers on the roster, right? And also another Pittsburgh Steelers insider found this out too, Jerry Dulac. Steelers have signed Matthew Wright from the Chiefs practice squad, meaning they have to keep him on the roster for at least 3 games. More importantly, it means that Chris Boswell's injury might be more of an issue than feared. Now, we did have Matthew Wright back. I believe he was with the Steelers in 2020. Let me just double check. Yeah, first kicking with the Steelers. This is from Behind the Steel Curtains website. First kicking for the Steelers in 2020. Matthew Wright appeared in 3 games. Week 13, Week 16, and Week 17, right? Where he didn't miss a single kick, and he went 7 for 7 on extra points and 4 for 4 on field goals, okay? Now, Matthew Wright appeared in 14 games in 2021 as a kicker for the Jacksonville Jaguars, where he made 13 of 15 extra points and 21 of 24 with a long of 56. Wright has kicked in 2 games for KC, where he made all 8 of his extra points and 3 out of 4 field goals with the longest of 59. All that information comes from Behind the Steel Curtain, and I will link that in the description below. So, big news here, guys. The Steelers signed another player, but it's not signing, or I guess activating TJ Watt back to the roster, which we want to see. And it's not activating Damontae Kazee back to the roster, which we want to see. There are at least 2 players, Nick Skiba and another receiver, I can't remember his name, Josh Malone. They're gone. But then they had to bring in Matthew Wright because Chris Boswell is dealing with an injury. Now, speaking of injuries, look at the injury report. This backs it up. Here we go. Wednesday, November 9th, November 10th. Chris Boswell, groin, did not play. Right? William Jackson III, back, did not play. Witherspoon, hamstring. Levi, shoulder, full practice. Christian Kuntz, full practice. Miles Jack, knee. Ogunjobi. So it looks like at this time being, we're going to be without Boswell, Jackson, Witherspoon, maybe Jack, possibly, Ogunjobi, knee. Those guys are out. So some kind of bad news there with Chris Boswell. He's one of my favorite players, actually. Watching Chris Boswell, I think he's one of the top 3, maybe top 5 kickers in the league. Possibly could be trending towards one of the best kickers in the league. but the other Raven, Justin Tucker, gets in the way. So, guys, if you enjoyed my content, you enjoyed that breakdown of that breaking news, that roster edition, please click that like and hit that subscribe.